Good afternoon, Madhumalti. I'm very pleased to have you today in this call. I mean, it's an informal one, and at the end of the day, it's also very motivational, very inspirational for others. So, in regard to our fostering artificial intelligence at the schools, I have been very, very intrigued of the work that you do already with the schools, and I would love to hear about your organization, your background, and your experiences with machine learning and artificial intelligence at the schools and with teachers. So, yeah, share with us a little bit of your background and goals.
Sure. So, hi Liliana. Very nice to meet you and be part of this lovely interview that you are going to be doing. So, just as a background, my name is Madhumalti Sharma. I'm based out of Luxembourg. I'm the founder and president of a non-profit organization called Workshop for Me. We set up in Luxembourg 8 years or so ago, and we've been working on creating the problem solvers of the future, which is teaching kids to code and use technology more like a creator rather than a consumer. And we've been very happy because for the past 2 years, coding has been incorporated in the curriculum for the Luxembourg schools as well. And now it is a regular feature. So from primary school, they are already doing coding within the class. We think it's important because these are part of the 21st century skills. So everyone talks about the 21st century skills, the four C's, communication, collaboration, critical thinking, and creativity. And I think that coding is a great way to incorporate all these different skills within the children and the teachers. So, in relation to artificial intelligence and machine learning, so we just launched a course on artificial intelligence for kids, both for the kids themselves and also for teachers. And we are very excited to, have people do the course. In terms of my work with AI, being in the area of technology for the past 25 years, I think it is imperative that we keep up. When I had started coding with the green screen, it was very different than how we are teaching kids how to code today. So, being in this field, I think it is imperative that I learn and keep reskilling myself and know whatever is the latest and greatest out there in technology. So, that's what actually brought me into it. There was also this thing about all these different movies and fiction which kind of portrayed AI in a not so pleasant way or in a bad way, if I may say so, very frankly. So it was important to change the perspective of AI and know that we're using it unknowingly every single day, whether we are trying to search for a map to where to go, or we're trying to find out which is the best restaurant in which we will get the kind of food that we want, or when we are trying to send a Snapchat message to our friend, with bunny ears or googly eyes. We are using it every day for all kinds of things. So there are a lot of good uses of AI as well. I mean, just like any tool, it can be misused, but it is important to show the benefits that it brings to society as well. So that is one of the objectives with which we said we have to show this side of AI as well to the students and the teachers, because they are going to be using it all the time.
Indeed, I mean, technology, we are using it all the time, and artificial intelligence, it's the invisible, layer in many of the tools that we are using. I mean, social media, yeah, and even recommendation systems when we are buying any product and so on. So, but there is, that fear in any case of will AI take our jobs, and so I wonder if some of the teachers that you work with, or colleagues from other nonprofit organizations, are facing that fear, or if you have kind of like helped them overcome that fear in a way, being more practical with the workshops that you do, or I mean, how do you see that? Yeah.
So, in terms of whether it is going to take away jobs, the answer is yes, it will. Correct. So, when the wheel was discovered, then we were not using horse carts anymore, right? So, I think it's a process of evolution, and it'll only help us. I think that's how we should take a look at it. For example, if we see that self-driving cars are going to make the world safer because there will not be so many accidents, why wouldn't we want uh, that people don't have to drive on their own and the machine is going to be able to do it? In so many parts of the world, India for example, where I come from, there is a big group of people who work as drivers. That's their job. So yes, they will be going out of that job, but I feel it is an opportunity to do something else and do something which is possibly more meaningful. Specifically for teachers, not necessarily that they are fearing that they're going to lose their jobs, they will still be needed. I think they are looking at it more like, how can AI help or augment what I do? Because, like, teachers do a lot of things within the short period of time. They have a lot of administrative tasks. They also have a lot of things to think about how to make the learning better for students. Even though they're teaching a big class, they would like to kind of make it personalized. So there are different aspects that AI can help in, like personalizing learning, for example, as one of them. Taking care of administrative tasks is another. So basically, technology in general can help teachers so much that I don't think they're looking at it like a fear. I think they're looking at more like a challenge, that they have to upgrade their skills, that they have to learn how to use digital technology for themselves. So more that way. Out in the industry, for sure, yes, the workers who see that automation is coming in into their factories, they are concerned about it, right? And I mean, it would be, but again, I think they are also trying to look at it like, how do I change my skills, or how do I do something else. And it might be funny to hear, but very recently I read an article which was mentioning that it'll take longer for the people who make burgers at McDonald's to go out of work because of AI than lawyers. So it sounds strange, but it is more difficult to teach a machine how to do all the different things about making a burger than it is how to read through lots and
Text.
lots of documents, and and be able to make sense out of it, or come up with things which are missing or incorrect. So
Wow.
I think it's important to see what is out there, keep upgrading your skills, and AI is going to bring a lot of good as well. So I'm
Yeah.
generally an optimistic person, and I want to take a look at it that way.
I'm actually also very optimistic, and I will pick up on that because I'm fan of all what we could do in a positive way to use AI, for example, in the classroom, and that can vary from learning analytics in a way that we can support to detect maybe early dropouts and actually support these children so they don't leave a school, or that they to include them even better, or for example people with dyslexia or so on. So all those things are very very helpful. And I wonder, I mean, what examples or best practices you already know from implementations. So far, I don't have in like close to me actually schools that are already using any like learning analytics or so on. So I wonder if you know of any school or organization doing that, or including other materials AI in their projects.
Yeah. So, in terms of using it to be able to teach the children, I don't have concrete examples in front of me, although there are a lot that I have been reading up about. So, it is being used in schools. For example, in several schools in the US, it is helping augment the education for the students and giving the teachers better time to work on building the curriculum or making the lesson plans better for the children. And also, AI is helping in being able to see what is it that the children are not so good at, so that more practice is given in those area, whether it be maths or science and all of that. Other than that, there are now a lot of built-in apps which kind of do that for the children. So the onus is no longer on the teacher. It's just about use this app. For example, there are some maths app that the children can use in order to better their math skills, and it becomes personalized. So although everybody is using the same maths app, the kind of questions that are given to the students depends on what kind of answers he got right or wrong, and the AI is able to figure out what are the areas that he needs help on. So therefore more questions are given in that area so that he can augment it, or she can augment it. So I think that those things are definitely happening. In terms of bringing it into practice and tools, I think we have to start with the teachers first. They have to first understand what is it that is there in AI, what can I actually do with my children to explain to them what there is. So I think that a lot of good unplugged activities or off screen activities are also now available, which can help understand AI. So there are two which I particularly like a lot. One is the Alan Turing test, which is doing this little game where you try to give pre-printed answers to one person who is pretending to be the computer, and the other answer is given by an actual human being, and then getting children to figure out, was this the computer answering or was this actually a human being answering. And I think it is a very good exercise because it gets people to think, what kind of questions should I ask to figure out, is this a machine or is this a human. And
Wow.
then, by looking at the answers, it makes people think, would a human being say it in this way, or will the computer say it in that way. So I feel that unplugged activities are a great way to do. Another one is the playing the tic tac toe game, with one person who already has preset instructions on what to do in each scenario. And therefore it is good to see and understand how AI can be affecting our lives. And then again, having general discussions, what do you think about self driving cars, having a discussion just like that in the classroom to get the different perspectives. And then maybe bring in this scenario of, okay, if there is a self-driving car and there are, the ethical dilemma, if there is a motorcycle on one end and a truck on the other, which way should it go, and then based on how it is programmed, who is responsible for it. Is it the programmer, is it the driver, because even though he's not driving, it's his car, is it the company who's manufactured the car because they went with that particular logic, and all of that. So all of this discussion, I think, is a great way to get started with AI. And then, of course, there are a lot of tools, which help to bring it from children who are like really young. So, Scratch is a very popular programming tool with children. It's a great way to start because it's like Lego blocks. You drag and drop, and you make things happen. So, using that Scratch like interface, there are several. Um, how do I say, programs which are available. One of the ones which I like is machine learning .co.uk. They have an interface which works with Scratch, so you kind of just put in those plugins and then you can build things. We did a program using that for EU Code Week and also for EU Robotics Week in October and November of last year, and it was very popular. It was attended by both children and students. And we did a program where they were doing a Snapchat like filter. So they would make, like a party hat, googly eyes, a mustache, a big nose, and it used face detection. So basically, if you move yourself, the different things will actually move with you. So
Yeah.
it showed them how face recognition is used, and then there was a discussion about, what else do we use face recognition for? Can you think of another app and all of that? So it generated a lot of interest. So there are a lot of programs like this. Pictoblocks is another one that we use, which is simple. It's like Scratch, and it is able to explain the concepts of AI by making something that is practical. Because I think only when children do and the teachers do something and they see the application, then they are able to understand that technology more. Just saying face detection or reading a paragraph about it is not as effective as, making this app, for example, and then you're like, oh yeah, now I know, what face detection is and how it works and all of that. So yeah, these are just some of the tools.
Yeah, well, you have already shared a lot of, yeah, several tools that we could even use in the project as inspiration. So thank you very much and for sharing that information. And it will be spread, with teachers. And I will pick up on one comment that you made, and that was to have informal conversations or to have conversations about technology or ethics, actually, maybe in our classrooms or with teachers or within our organizations. For one of the actually lesson plans that we organize and one of the intellectual outputs that we have for this project, we are working on bias. And one of the lessons, it's actually about the bias that we have or that we incorporate in algorithms and in our data. And I wonder what is your opinion about, bias in general, or in education, or in technology, and how could we actually tackle that? Maybe in ethic classes, or philosophy, or I don't know, unplugged, activities, or so on.
Yes, I think you pointed out very correctly. A lot of times, even though there is a bias, we don't even realize it, right? We don't even recognize it. So, if you go back in and read about the experiments which were done by teachers when they were trying to show that somehow black students themselves felt that they are not um, how do I say, good enough or worthy enough or intelligent enough, compared to the other white students, and how the teacher worked to change this bias. Then she did this experiment with, by just saying, people with blue eyes are intelligent. So I forget the name of this particular exercise, but that even without realizing, there are a lot of biases that human beings in general have, and the only way to get over it is to talk about it. And then slowly one reaches the level of, okay, at least now I know that I didn't even realize, but it was always, for me it was so easy to always pick this versus that. And again, programmers are also human beings, right, at the end of it. So we all come with our own biases. So the way to get over it is having a diverse team. That's, I think, most important. I mean, everyone had heard about this face recognition app which refused to recognize black women um, on the face. It didn't recognize it as a face at all because all the data that they had input was only white.
Yeah,
So I think if there would have been a black person on the team, this problem wouldn't have happened, right? I'm
yeah,
sure that she would have definitely said, hey, our data looks, it doesn't look diverse enough, so let's make that diverse. So I think the way to start is actually by having diverse teams that work on different applications and on developing courses and everything in general. The moment you have a diverse team, everybody brings their own perspective, and it will ensure that we're thinking of all the different angles. So it's not just about bias, but bringing value in so many other different ways. So for me, I think that's the way to actually get rid of it. There is no one bullet solution as to, if we do this, it'll happen.
yeah.
But I think having diverse teams is a great start to make it happen.
That connects actually very well with the last post that we created, because it was indeed about the why to have non-heterogeneous and non-homogeneous groups, in our work, or at the companies, or even at the school, because even in education we tend to have already a bias. Most of the teachers are female, right? So then, immediately the example that we have is that most of the teachers are women. And let's think, for example, in the future, if there would be a recruiting tool, trying to hire teachers, potentially men would be punished by that system, So, but in any case, yeah, the question would be like, are you also contributing? I mean, apart from being yourself and a great ambassador for the European coding, activities and so on. Are you also working on tackling the gender or diversity problems in technology, or you do it indirectly, or how is
I
it?
think I do it a lot. I think I do it a lot indirectly. So, just as an example, for workshop for me, we try to consciously post pictures with girls coding
Yeah.
in our social media and all of that. So we are not directly saying, get girls to code, but when we show those pictures, and I think if enough of us keep showing the pictures of girls coding, more girls will think it is the most natural thing to do, right? Like when you
Mm,
Google for a scientist, why should it be that there should only be a white male who comes up in the image for a scientist? It should be a woman coming up as well, right? From any
yeah.
different ethnicity or background. So I think it's about having enough people do it. So I do it, actually we do it at both levels. One is this subtly, where we are trying to make posts or putting pictures on our website, where we kind of try to say that, get girls to code. We also run a lot of programs which are specifically aimed at girls, and this comes from the experience that I have while working with IBM. I have been working on a lot of diversity initiatives to get more women and girls into technology, hiring more girls and women, and also helping girls and women within the organization to speak up and make their point known and all of that. So all those different levels. So when we started workshop for me, we saw that the brothers and sisters were joining, but the girls were dropping off, and the brothers were continuing to do the course. And that was when we had just I had moved to Luxembourg, and it was quite new, and it was very surprising that even in the western part of the world, it is a lot like this, right? That girls are not wanting to code or whatever. And then I read up a lot about the UN studies and all, which say that by the age of 6, girls are losing confidence and they don't think they're as smart enough. By the age of 8, they don't think that they are at the same level of maths and science as boys are. I have also heard and seen instances where the teachers in the schools have kind of said, "Oh, he will of course do well in maths because he's a boy," and this kind of subtly hints to the girls that this is not for them.
Mm,
So, like you said, it's a bias. So the way to work on it is also, kind of do set things specifically for girls so that they feel comfortable and confident within their own heterogeneous, homogeneous group, where they feel, yes, it's okay if I fail. There are others around me whom I'm going to be comfortable with. And we've done a lot of all girls coding sessions, which helped a lot of girls. And then they went on and they were fine to join the sessions with which were both for boys and for girls. So I think that for some reason it is kind of girls need this little bit of additional hand holding or support or whatever to make them feel that, yeah, this is also for you. And it also comes from this thing about there aren't enough role models, right? So when we go and google a coder, it's very rare that you will find that they will pop up with a picture of a girl who's a coder.
yeah,
So they don't think that, okay, this is the most normal thing to do, or this is something that all my friends are doing. There
yeah,
you hear boys talking about playing games or creating games, but not so much girls. So the only way to do it is to tell them that this is for you, and start young. So I always say that you have to start really young, so that it becomes like, standing, reading, writing, jumping, playing. That coding is also like that for girls as well. So yeah,
I,
that I think is how I'm actually trying to do it. And then also there are a lot of organizations that I'm part of, like EU Code Week, like you mentioned, where
yeah,
there is always this question after each activity as to what was the percentage of boys and girls who did the activity. So the moment people are asked to be accountable or to provide numbers, they're going to be conscious that they are going to be able to cater to both boys and girls, right? So I think that definitely helps. And then bringing role models, or we have a lot of coaches who are girls at workshop for me, and the whole objective of that is so that it makes it completely normal, not just for them but also for the children whom they are working with, that, oh,
yeah.
my teacher who's, or my coach who's teaching me how to code is also girl, so of course I can do it. I'm a girl. I mean, that's the most natural thing.
Wow, that's amazing. I mean, that's already, you are already an amazing role model, because of the activities you do. You are a technologist and you are really putting it out there. And well, I wonder actually, with your experience, how you would maybe invite others to become also role models. Like, how would you like motivate, for example, female teachers to become more aware of AI and to know more about the artificial intelligence and even implement it at the schools.
um I think nobody goes out to become a role model. You just do your thing. I mean, it's just as simple as that, right? I just do it because that's the most natural thing to do. And then maybe somebody feels happy about it. The other thing I think is to encourage. So there is this EU Code Week
Encourage. Hmm.
teachers. So there are leading teachers in each country who come forward and say that I will try to work on motivating other teachers to bring coding into the classroom as well. So I think initiatives like this help a lot, which make people feel, yes, I want to do it. I also think it is also at the end of it at the school level, where within the schools, they say that, yeah, we would like, if there is a training program that they're trying to do, or if they want them to participate in a MOOC, they encourage teachers from all subjects to it. So I don't think it is just about female teachers versus male teachers. I think it is also about teachers across subjects.
Yeah.
Why is it that the music teacher or the art teacher doesn't think that AI is for him or her? It is also for them, right? There are a lot of you can create poetry with AI. We do deep fake, right, which is you're using images and using AI. uh, of course, for maths and science you don't have to kind of explain it, because the teachers think, yeah, that is definitely my thing. But my idea is that it is there in every single aspect of our life. Every single subject gets affected by AI. So it doesn't matter which subject the teacher belongs to. It should be, he or she should feel encouraged to go ahead and want to learn more about it. And there is this MOOC which the EU Code Week had organized. I don't know when they're going to be organizing it next, but people should look up their website and see, which was for specifically for teachers to introduce AI into it. And a lot of tools and things were mentioned, whether it is about using just code.org and doing AI for oceans, where you train the AI. This is more about machine learning, where you say, is this a fish or is this not a fish? So is it some garbage in the oceans? That was the objective of doing that particular one. So something as simple as that. Then there is also this quick draw app, which many of the people might have already used, which Google has, auto draw and quick draw. And then there is the reverse of the quick draw, which is misfire, things which were drawn but it was not, the AI was not able to see or to recognize it to be a cat or a dog or whatever it was supposed to be. And then there is this poetry creating app, then there is this avatar creating app. So there are really so many different aspects of it which can be used, irrespective of the subject that the teacher is teaching. So it is actually for everyone. I mean, the only way to do it
Yeah,
is, go ahead and give it a shot. And
that's
the
it.
other
Yeah,
thing, absolutely, the other thing which I think is important to know is, a lot of times teachers think it is only their role to teach the students. No, times have changed, and one of the trends which is important is the students have to teach the teachers. Maybe the student can tell you better about Snapchat than you know yourself,
yeah, yeah,
right?
indeed.
So I think that this role reversal is important to know for the teachers as well. It's
And
really
to allow
important.
it,
Absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely.
and even like peer-to-peer learning, like other kids learning from other kids, or even allowing the parents also to become, like, for example, you as a specialist in technology, to allow you as a parent to also go to the lessons and things like that. So yeah, I definitely think that the classroom is never anymore like a teacher giving lectures to students, but it is more mixed and peer-to-peer. So that definitely. And yeah, Madhumalti, I'm very excited. I would love to ask you many questions, and I actually wonder if you have a question yourself, something that you would like to share that I haven't asked before. So more from your own initiative, something that you would like us to know.
Is this a question you want me to ask you, or
No, you for yourself.
okay, something that I want to talk about?
Yes.
Ah, okay. So, what do I want to talk about? I want to talk about a lot of things. For one, it is like you mentioned very correctly, for parents to get involved with their children,
Yeah.
and then do yourself. So, just to give you an example, when I wanted to change the hard disk of my computer, I got my daughter to help. I have a son and a daughter both, and I asked my daughter to help me out with it. So, she's the younger one, but she felt, oh, if my mom is asking me to help on this, then it's like the most natural thing, I should know how to do it. So similarly, I feel that I should tell parents that, when you want to change a light bulb, ask your daughter to help as well, not just your son. And
Yeah.
when you want to, I don't know, when you're trying to cook something, maybe ask your son to help as well. I mean, I think it's just about letting everybody know that it is possible for them to try their hand at everything. I mean, you might be good, you might be bad, but at least give it a shot and try.
Mm,
That's something I want to talk about. The other thing is, I had written this a blog about big ideas in education, and it is there on our blog on the workshopforme.org page, where I talked about the different aspects in which education is going to change. And this was in 21. So, after COVID, a lot of things have come to the forefront because of that. And I think it is important for teachers, educators, policymakers, all to be aware of these things, like the digital divide, for one.
yeah.
The fact that when it became very important for every single person to have access to Wi-Fi and a computer to learn, when everything was in lockdown, there was a big part of the population in the world which didn't have access to this. So
Indeed.
it's
Yeah.
something to think about, and something which is important to work on in the budgets at the policy level. Also, the fact that schools were no longer what they were expected to be, correct? Nobody was going into the school anymore. So I think it's an opportunity for schools to think about how their role has changed because of
Yeah.
COVID. They are no longer just rooms where teachers and students will gather, and there will be one way communication. That is now being taken care of in different ways. So how can they restructure the school to add more value to what they can actually bring? And I feel that, and I listed out other things which were important as well. So I think that for education in general to be able to, go to the next level, be on the forefront, because I think technology and education go very much hand in hand to shaping the world.
Yeah.
So therefore it is important that we, use the power of both and work together to do it. And in a lot of ways AI helps with that, right? Whether it be in doing using machine learning, so that no human being has to crunch all of the data and think of what is the best way forward or how to do it. It's not just going to be used for um, getting Amazon to pick the correct things and package it in boxes. That's not all that machine learning is going to help on. There are so many other instances how it can help in the field of education. So I think all of those should also be thought about and talked about.
Yeah. For sure, we will be very happy to share your link and links that you have, mentioned actually now, like even tools and so on. So what we can do is after, we bring it offline basically, and we can write a very nice post with the link to useful resources. It can be tools, and it can be also your website, the article that you have about the vision for education and so on, and yeah, the EU Code Week and so on. So feel free actually to share that information also offline. And yeah, I think that that is actually already a very good interview for now, and we could actually try to get to a next point and say goodbye, and maybe invite teachers to participate in the project or to welcome you. And actually, I have a public invitation to be our keynote speaker in Brussels. So if you don't mind, I would love to have you here in when I'm organizing an event together with the University of the VUB, yeah, so the Brussels University, the Dutch one, for this project, for our FAIaS project, the Fostering Artificial Intelligence at the Schools. You are inspiration.
Thank you. Absolutely. I would be delighted to. I always look for an opportunity to talk to teachers and talk to students and, take this forward. I think the more the people talk about it, the more the people actually do it, we'll change society. That's how it has to happen, one person at a time.
Amazing. Thank you very much, and we see each other next time.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Bye bye.
Bye.